A gift from God. That's what Cynthia and Virgil Hetfield called their newborn son. James Allen Hetfield was born on August 3, 1963, in Downey, California. His parents met at Sunday school, where Cynthia brought her two sons from a previous marriage, Christopher and David. Virgil, a truck driver by trade, preached the gospel of Jesus Christ to children there. Cynthia was an artist, graphic designer, and an opera enthusiast. Their relationship was built around a religion centered on faith in Christ's healing power. In the summer of 1966, Cynthia and Virgil welcomed a daughter, Diana. Supporting a family with 4 children became increasingly difficult, and Virgil began spending long periods away working as a truck driver. As James grew older, he attended Rio San Gabriel Elementary School. In accordance with their religious beliefs, his parents opted him out of the school's introductory science course. So while the other kids were in class, James sat alone in the hallway. Usually, that's where the punished children stood. All of this made him feel increasingly isolated from the other kids. One day, after seeing James tapping away at a piano while visiting friends, his mother enrolled him in piano lessons. He continued taking lessons for 3 years, but he hated it. His teacher, an elderly woman, only taught boring classical pieces. Meanwhile, James developed a growing interest in music. His half-brother David played drums in a rock cover band called Bitter End, while Chris played acoustic guitar. David had a record collection in his room that James wasn't allowed to touch. One day, however, James became fascinated by an album cover featuring a mysterious woman dressed in black, standing beside an old tree in an autumn field. It was Black Sabbath's self-titled debut album, and when he placed the record on the turntable, his life changed. The music drew him in completely. Soon, he discovered Led Zeppelin, Blue Oyster Cult, and Alice Cooper. He would put on headphones and disappear into another world, escaping family troubles and everything around him. In 1976, when James was 13, his father left one morning and never came back. There were no arguments, no goodbyes, not even a note. Sometimes James would come home from school and notice that more of his father's belongings had disappeared. Months later, Cynthia finally told the children that their father wasn't coming back. James withdrew even further into himself. His older brothers had already moved out and were living lives of their own. Raising the family as a single mother was difficult. James rebelled, declaring that he would no longer attend Sunday school. With money he had saved, he bought albums by Lynyrd Skynyrd and Aerosmith. Borrowing Chris's guitar, he tried to play along with records slowed down to lower speeds. Inspired by his musical heroes, he let his hair grow long. Because of it, he wasn't accepted onto the school football team, and later, employers turned him down for jobs. But James didn't care. To him, the hair mattered. What was rock and roll without long hair? In September 1977, James enrolled at Downey High School. There he reconnected with Ron McGovney, whom he had first met in junior high. The McGovneys owned an auto repair shop directly across from Virgil Hetfield's trucking company. Though James barely remembered Ron, their shared love of music quickly turned into a friendship. One day, James learned that a student from the school's jazz band was selling a 1969 Gibson SG for $200. He begged his mother to help him buy it, and she agreed. That became James's first real guitar. Not wanting to be left behind, Ron began taking acoustic guitar lessons so he could stay on the same wavelength as his friend. When James formed his first band, Obsession, he invited Ron to serve as the band's guitar tech. The group consisted of 4 members, Hetfield on guitar, guitarist Jim Arnold, and brothers Ron and Rich Velaz on bass and drums. Rehearsals took place in the Velaz brothers' garage on Fridays and Saturdays. They played covers of Led Zeppelin, Thin Lizzy, and Black Sabbath, taking turns singing into the microphone. In 1978, James attended his first concert, Aerosmith, at the Long Beach Arena. Inspired by the experience, he came to rehearsal with original songs he had written. The rest of the band reacted without enthusiasm and preferred to continue playing covers. So James formed a new band, Syrinx, a Rush tribute band. It didn't last long. One day, a Corvette Stingray pulled up to the house, and out stepped Virgil. His daughter immediately ran into his arms, but James remained distant. His father said that life had changed him, admitted he had made mistakes, and asked his children not to hold a grudge. James coldly replied, "Dude, you screwed us over." In late winter of 1980, Ron McGovney saw James cleaning out his school locker. James had been absent for 10 days, and everyone assumed he had gone on vacation. Ron asked what he was doing. James answered that his mother had died and that he and his sister would be moving in with his brother David. Cynthia's health had been deteriorating slowly for years. But because her Christian Science beliefs prohibited seeking medical care, she refused to consider either a diagnosis or treatment. James enrolled at Brea Olinda High School. On his very first day, he accidentally brushed against the car of a large student, who immediately punched him in the face. Long hair definitely wasn't popular at that school. There, James met Hugh Tanner, who one day brought a guitar into woodshop class for restoration. It was a red Flying V copy. Together, they repainted it white in Tanner's garage, accidentally getting paint all over his father's Mercedes. Sitting in class, they would sketch Iron Maiden's Eddie and dream up elaborate stage sets. Soon, James, Hugh, and classmate Jim Mulligan formed a band called Phantom Lord. Sitting at Tanner's house, they made grand plans to conquer the world despite never having played a single show. They needed a bassist, and James convinced Ron McGovney to join. Even though Ron didn't know how to play, he bought a bass at Downey Music Center and became part of the band. James gave him lessons on weekends. When James Hetfield graduated from Brea Olinda High School, he made his ambitions perfectly clear in the yearbook. Play music, get rich. Immediately afterward, he took a job as a janitor at the same school. Feeling financially independent, James moved out of his brother's house and into one of the rental properties owned by the McGovney family. And it was in that house in Norwalk that the legendary band Metallica would eventually be born.